Alright, how's it going, everybody? Sorry about my messy hair. I actually just woke up, haven't even taken a shower yet. But I have something I wanted to talk about. It's a Synology NAS. This is the 1621 Plus. It's really heavy right now because actually all the discs are still in it. But that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. The 1621 Plus is an AMD based NAS. That's the Usually they have Intel chips, or sometimes they're using ARM, I believe. But this one has the Ryzen chip, and which is kind of a bad thing if you're trying to use your NAS as like a media NAS to play media. So in this NAS device, it's not very good, honestly. I don't know why everybody is always giving such rave reviews for Synology. In my opinion, I mean, maybe for NAS only, then it's pretty good. But they have probably, I don't know, like 30 desktop applications that you can download from their website that are specific for this model of NAS. So there's like the Synology Assistant, Synology Backup, and then there's just like there's so many applications. And for Android, it's basically the same thing. They have like 50 applications, and I tested out some of the applications like Synology Photos and a bunch of other Synology branded Android apps, and none of them worked. They said it's not enabled on my device, but I went to my Synology NAS and tried to look at, what application is it looking for me to enable. But it doesn't have like a control panel with little toggles for the things that you can enable that are like Synology features, so to speak. Instead, I think you just have to use the application store, and inside the application store, it's really bad because you search for Synology, and then they have like 50 Synology apps, and like two of them might say Photos on it somewhere, but you go in and you enable it, and then it like warns you that it's going to install PHP, like that's a big deal or something. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff doesn't really make a lot of sense. It seems very disorganized, and yeah, the only thing I can say about positive about the Synology is it was super easy to set up. I mean, I literally got set up in just a couple of clicks. I mean, like maybe 3 or 4 clicks, I was set up with an NAS. So if that's your primary objective, is to, have a NAS device that's just ready to go, then it's perfect. And the form factor is super teeny. It's probably one of the smallest NAS devices that you can get in this form factor that I know of anyway. Because even if you build your own, you can probably, cram something together, but there's not a whole lot of case options that I've seen. And there's like some pre-builts that people have on eBay and things like that you can get and put Unraid on it, or Truenas or something like that, Truenas Core. But I think Synology has a lot of options, and if you're already in the Synology world, then all these things, they seem just easy. You're like, oh yeah, just go download this and enable this, but it's not very intuitive for a new person. So what I would do if I was the CEO of the company is basically make a control panel that's like Synology features that they advertise for. They advertise backup. They advertise photo syncing for your phones and all that kind of stuff. Well, why isn't it just an easy click to toggle this stuff on, and then they post up a QR code for your phone, you scan it and you get the correct app, if they have to have 50 apps for that stuff. I mean, I understand some it makes sense to separate those code bases for your apps. But yeah, it's just I find as what I wanted to use it for is a media streaming device slash backup phones, and be able to sync documents between me and my wife or something like that. So for those purposes, it would have done the job. It's just I wanted something that was dead simple, that I didn't have to maintain, and I didn't have to learn and figure out a whole bunch of stuff. And for the price, I mean, I already have a small super micro board. I think it is super micro board, and it has a Xeon processor on it. I mean, it has 6 SATA ports, which this has more than 6, with if you include the SSD drive connectivity. But it has a PCIe connection slot, which you can put a full graphics card in. So, I mean, they limit these boards, so you can only do, I believe you can only install their compatible PCIe devices. Yeah, so it's kind of limiting. Why do they limit it like that? I don't understand. Seems like it would make a lot of sense to drop an NVIDIA, a small NVIDIA card in there, and boom, you have an awesome everything device. But instead, you're going to have to go and look at, how am I going to do a Plex server? How am I going to stream the Plex or Jellyfin? I prefer Jellyfin, but how are you going to stream that stuff? You're going to have to, get an NVIDIA Shield. You're going to have to build your own system. You're going to have to, there's a bunch of different ways. Get a NUC. But then now you have 2 devices. Then you have to set up the device for the syncing. Whereas if you just have one PCIe slot and room to fit, like even a small graphics card, it doesn't even have to be super powerful. It could be a 1050 Ti would be more than adequate. Or even probably something even less than that, honestly. And then you could do 4K streaming, transcodes, pretty easily. I mean, maybe not more than 1 or 2 at the time, but I mean, I haven't tested that, so I don't know. But yeah, it just seems like you pay a premium, and I expected the software to be much better than what it is. And the whole kind of desktop environment for Synology, that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me either. But it is easy to learn for somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. But yeah, everything besides the form factor with Synology is not very good. So I don't really understand why people love it so much. I always see, I'm on a couple of Reddit groups, and people post their home labs, and they'll have all these different things set up, and it's just, I just go, huh. Now I'm going to think, why do they have a Synology? It's just because they haven't bothered to look at Unraid. I mean, Unraid, you have to pay for the license, which, that kind of sucks. But, I mean, $60, you can have 6 drives attached. If you're going to have something more, I think it's like 160 at the top end. And then you're good to go. You can just, reuse that USB stick, plug it into the computer. That's it. That's all you got to do. And for the price, unless you really need something that's super teeny, it just doesn't make sense to get Synology. I can't recommend it, and I don't know why other people have recommended it, because that's why I got it. Other people were recommending it. I saw it in people's home racks. I was like, oh damn, it must be pretty good. I want to check it out. I've never had one before, and honestly, I've never set up a NAS either. So this is the first time I've ventured into the whole NAS world, and yeah. Besides the form factor is amazing. It's super small. I mean, this is teeny. It's got 4 network ports. It's got connection for 2 more SATA connections, 3 USB. It's got a Kensington lock, I think, and you can fit a 1-slot PCI low profile card, I think. And yeah, I mean, I was able to stream uh, two streams at the same time. One was a 1080p native, and then the other one was a 4K transcode to my computer's web browser. So bear in mind, if you weren't trying to transcode, then it's probably going to work fine. But if you're getting all random videos and photos and all this kind of different formatted stuff, you really want it to be able to just handle anything you throw at it and not worry about it. So in my mind, if I'm going to have a Synology NAS that I pay a premium for, that I'm intending to use it for, a media streaming server, basically, then it's really a bad choice. Now, that's just my use case. If you have a different use case, it might be great for you. I don't know, but for my use case, it's kind of bad. So, yeah, I think I tried it out, and I just wanted to share that experience with everybody here. It's only $800, so for a NAS with 6 drives, it's not too bad. I went and bought like 8 Western Digital NAS Plus drives for like $200 a piece. So that's already more. The drives cost more than the NAS. But I mean, if we go to, eBay, and we just look at a NAS here for, I was actually already looking at them, so as you can see, here's a NAS that its form factor is going to be a bit bigger, because, yeah, it's just going to be bigger. But it's not taking up that much more room, And this is going to have plenty of space. You can put freenas on here. You can put Unraid on here. Freenas is free, or Truenas Core, or whatever they're calling it now, is free. I think maybe they have stuff you can buy, but to me, freenas or Unraid is just a much better solution, much better investment, because these ones seem so expensive. But yeah, you can see. So, maybe it's a similar size as the Synology, but this one's almost the same price. You get an i5 with 8 gigabytes. Yeah, you get none of the Synology software with this, so you got to take that into account. But if we can see the board, well, we can actually see the back of the system. This looks like just a normal motherboard, and it looks like it has, maybe that's a full-size 1-slot PCIe card, or maybe it's already taken. I'm not really sure. But you could always, get a bigger, just a normal size system, and then, get, what is it, 5 1/4 to 3.5 bit hot swap. Get a normal case, get one of, these, a lot of cases that are super cheap, $50 cases. You can convert the areas that are meant for CD-ROMs that nobody ever uses anymore into a bunch of more hard drive base for hot swapping. Depending on how it works, you might have to take the side panel off and take off a couple of drives, but that's not a big deal. It's not going to look as cool, but with something like this, $80 and a $60 normal case, you're going to be able to fit in some old full-size motherboard, throw in an old graphics card, and you have a great media server / NAS device that you can share all your photos and sync up. And then you can do what a lot of people do, because honestly, NextCloud is great. You can just install NextCloud on it, and you don't even have to worry about any of this nonsense with Synology's apps and stuff not making any sense. You go to NextCloud and you get the NextCloud app, and it just does the syncing for you. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm more into technology, so this stuff just makes more sense to me. Just to install a Docker container and call it a day. Um, Maybe people like the approach for Synology. But anyway, I'll leave it with that. I think I've rambled on enough about this. Um, yeah. So I tried Synology. I didn't like it. Uh, but maybe you will. So take this into account and have a good one. See ya.